The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
This morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Tuesday, the 1st of August, 2023, and you are on the clock with Erin Greene. It's a World News Tuesday, and joining me in studio this morning is Mr. Mark Palmer. Morning, Mr. Palmer.
Good morning, Erin.
And also joining us in studio today is Mr. C.A. Nuri. I've asked Mr. Nuri to join us today for a particular topic I want to talk about. We have lots of topics to talk about on this World News Tuesday. I want to look at the United States Space Force. We talk about the United States Space Force and the recent U.S. congressional hearings on UFOs and UAPs. Also, conflict in Niger. Another very interesting story. Conflict in Niger, conflict spreading out across the continent. And then there are a couple of stories in today's papers that maybe if we have enough time, we will touch upon. But let's begin the show with our Sand Dollar Live read. The Central Bank of the Bahamas is pleased to announce the extension of its rebate program to AML Foods Limited, that's Solomon's Food Stores and Fresh Markets. Beginning this Thursday and running every Thursday and Friday through the month of August, customers using their Sand Dollar-enabled digital wallet at the designated Solomon's locations will have the opportunity to receive instant cash rebates. So this Thursday the 3rd and Friday the 4th of August, Central Bank representatives will be giving out Sand Dollars at Solomon's Yamacraw location. Show your Sand Dollar-enabled digital wallet at the door and receive $20. Spend $18 or more in Sand Dollars at the register and get $5 back when you leave the store. This offer is limited to the first 100 customers to show us their Sand Dollar-enabled wallet at each location. One top-up per person so as many people as possible can experience the Sand Dollar. For more details, visit any of the Sand Dollar social media pages or call 302-9880. Again, that's this Thursday the 3rd and Friday the 4th at Solomon's Yamacraw. Now on to the on-the-clock Sand Dollar trivia giveaway. Every day for the next 3 months, we'll be giving away Sand Dollars. Well, the next 2 months, we're in the month of August now, we'll be giving away Sand Dollars to 2 winners. Every week, players can win up to $300 in Sand Dollars. To be eligible to win, you must have a digital wallet and answer the trivia question correctly. When you call in, give the producer your name and number. When you answer the question correctly, you'll be transferred back to the producer to confirm said details. Again, make sure you give the producer your name, your number, your wallet address, and your wallet provider so we can transfer you your Sand Dollars once you win. Again, listeners are restricted to one transfer for the duration of the competition. You can only win once. So the first question for today, people. Who is the third Prime Minister of the Bahamas? Who is the third Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas?
That sounds like a trick question.
That's a fairly straightforward one, right?
Because all the trick questions always sound like a straightforward question, Mark. That's why it sounds like a trick question. Anyway, the numbers to call to answer today's question, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720, That's 242-300-5720. If you're answering by text, you need to include your sand dollar information in the text, right, for the text to be complete. Numbers to call: 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720. Again, who was the third Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas?
So while we're on this topic of central bank, did you know our friend Sam Bankman-Fried was in the news just a few days ago?
Yes.
What a surprise. The charges for campaign finance were dropped.
In the Bahamas or in the U.S.?
In the U.S.
No,
and
okay.
the reason that they give,
Yeah.
so this is because he gave something like $70 million. And
So 70 or 17?
$70 million.
Yeah.
And through a variety of means, he did this. A lot of them a little bit shady. He would get people through proxies, because there's a limit to how much a person can donate. So
Right.
he had a list of people that would make donations. This is all well known and documented. But guess what? Those charges were dropped.
Okay, so
And the reason given is that it wasn't part of the extradition proceedings from the Bahamas. So the blame is being put on us that I think it's the DOJ is not following through on prosecuting him for these campaign finance violations.
so
Unbelievable, isn't
the
it?
campaign finance violations are U.S. political campaign financial transactions,
Correct.
not Bahamian,
No.
not contributions to Bahamian politicians.
This is the bit that a lot of people were interested in, because they wanted to see how those funds flowed and through which ways and how they came back, because some of them were routed through the Ukraine and then came back into the the DNC. And so people were kind of wanting to see how this whole thing happened, but now they're not being dropped or pursued, which is
Well, they
kind of
have been
strange.
dropped. They're not being pursued.
Correct, yeah.
Now, what I read was the reason that the charges were dropped was because the U.S. is only able to prosecute Sam Bankman-Fried on the charges that were detailed in their extradition request.
Well, that's a good one. You believe that?
Well-
So you can't come up with any other charges when other information comes through. It's like, oh, we're restricted to the original document. But if, say, you find that they murdered somebody, oh no, we can't prosecute them for murder because they weren't in the
Well,
original
no, not that they
charges.
can't prosecute them, but that at this particular time, because of the nature of how he got to the U.S., he's only in the U.S. because the Bahamian government agreed to the extradition request.
Correct, yeah.
Right? And so I think the rules are that when the extradition request is made, you are only able to prosecute the person, the individual, on the charges that were laid out in the extradition. I don't think that prevents them from seeking out another case, right? I don't think
agreed, yes. So
for establishing another case. But I think the particular rules of the extradition treaty.
So it'll be interesting to see whether they pick that up again. But it's not being pursued, and that was one of the things that he was being criticized for, what his activities were being criticized for. So it'll be interesting to see, because there's a lot of, when you look at how the DOJ is operating in the States, they've been accused of being weaponized by whatever administration is in power. So when Trump is in power, for somehow he can get the DOJ to act on the interests of that particular party. And this seems to be the case. But there are other reasons why people think that. And one of them is there's the trial going on now with Hunter Biden and his laptop and Ukrainian corruption and other things as well. And
So people are suggesting that the charges were dropped to prevent any information being exposed.
Embarrassment to the existing administration.
Okay.
I mean, it would kind of make sense, but
Yeah.
it doesn't give you much. If that is truly the case, it
Right,
doesn't
and-
really give you much faith in justice.
But
does
and
it?
all of that technically is sort of supposition, right? Like
Yeah.
we
don't know,
we're presuming.
presuming.
But what we
Agreed.
do know is that the campaign finance charges, right? That that they wanted to charge Bankman-Fried for basically donating money to the political parties, but not without following the rules, that charge was dropped. And the reason they say the charge was dropped is because it wasn't a part
Covered
of the
in the
extradition
extradition,
treaty,
correct.
The extradition panel. Okay.
Which is very convenient, I would say.
I mean, it is. It is very convenient.
And I would say if I was his lawyer, I would be arguing that case. But we'll see. We'll watch this space and see what happens.
Now, why would you be arguing that case? Because if you were Sam Bankman-Fried's lawyer, wouldn't you be happy that the charges are dropped?
No, that's what I'm saying. They would be arguing for that on his behalf.
I got a lot of texts here, Mr. Palmer, in response to what you said. But let me start here.
Yeah.
We've got a winner for our trivia giveaway. The third Prime Minister of the Bahamas is the Right Honorable Perry Christie. Right? There was Sir Lyndon Pindlin,
Hubert
Ingram, and then Sir Lyndon Pindlin.
No, Perry Christie.
No. Oh, sorry. Wait. They ain't the same. I mean, sometimes they're really the same, you know. So,
Well,
but Mr. Christie, you have certainly created your own legacy separate from
Definitely,
Pindlin,
yeah.
even though I may throw a joke or two in.
I like his style now. He's wearing these Chinese-style shirts that look very
Mr.
fetching.
Nuri, you know what the name of that suit is? No, man, you a butler, you know, you know these things. All right, so we have got a winner for the first trivia question of the day. Let me get to the text. Text says the Department of Justice dropped the campaign finance charges because SPF gave all the millions of dollars to the Democrats. Which party is in power? The Democrats. And you wonder why they were dropped. No, man, they gave a significant amount of money to Republican entities as well. Right? Now, Mark,
yeah.
I know you have a greater grasp on the figures. Was there a significant difference between the amount of money donated to Democrats and Republicans?
We don't know, but I mean, he did donate to both sides. But it would appear that the amount that went to the Democrats was significantly higher than what would have gone to the Republicans.
Okay.
So these were Republicans that were interested in crypto or supporting his ideas for crypto. So, yeah.
Right, I get a text here that I'm not going to read your text, but the text has just basically said that he don't even want to comment about it. He's afraid of he's concerned about how commentary may impact your ability to travel to the U.S. or not, right? And I mean, I think the texter has a good sense of the sort of the gravity of the matter, right? It's a very, very important matter. All right. Mark, the next story.
It's just that there's a difference in treatment when that, who was the gentleman who had the largest fraud? I forget it, Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
He was arrested, literally, as soon as his two sons sat down with him and he spilled the beans. He was arrested within 12 hours, and he never left jail. This dude is in his parents' home in Palo Alto, nice suburban neighborhood in California, and it just seems that there are two different treatments, and I think that's where people are leveling their criticism about
right, and that's why
cases,
people are prone to believe that somehow the Democrats have weaponized the DOJ, right? Because this young man is certainly not being treated like a criminal. He's not being treated like he has potentially destroyed the lives of thousands and thousands of investors and tarnished and in some instances ruined the reputations of industry stakeholders, What he has done was tremendous.
And it has caused a fallout in that whole space, that crypto space with Binance. And, so it had been a very significant, significant fallout, irrespective of what was done.
All right. Producer, take us to a break, please. When we get back from the break, gentlemen, I guess I'm going to let you all decide. I want to talk about the U.S. congressional hearings on UFOs and UAPs. But more, I want to speak to the audience. I want the audience to ask, but I want the audience to share. We live in the largest archipelago in the region. Lots of us spend our evenings in the night sky, right? Outside, taking in the atmosphere. And I want to know, over the years, how many people have witnessed UFOs. All a UFO is an unidentified flying object, right? I'm not asking if you've seen, if you met aliens, if they gave you the winning numbers. None of that. I just want to know, have you ever observed, witnessed, seen, interacted with?
Because remember, there was a spate of abductions in the United States years ago. I think maybe 20 years ago. A lot of people came forward saying they'd been abducted.
Yeah. We'll get into it after the break. Producer, take us to a break. There's a story coming out of Niger, which is very interesting. It stretches across the African continent, actually. And there are a couple of stories in the news today. We go into a break, guys. You stay tuned. You're on the clock with Erin Greene.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone.
What you mean? He take picture of that good-for-nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella here. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send picture direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas. Then pick install and it will go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons.
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas, so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day, and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
He smoked Zerasi. He smoked Japanese mixed with Gamalami tea. Why he smoked such a mixture? Ain't nobody know. It's so strong it shoot him through the sky like a UFO. What's this I see? Cloud of smoke in front of me. Screaming chopstick in my throat. Man blast off like lightning bolt. Quicksand for Bazara. Explain what happened. Send for policeman. U.S. Coast Guard too. He was last seen streaking across the harbor in the direction of the Holiday Inn. He smoked Majorina. He smoked Sarah C.
Good yawning this morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Now, producer, I love that song. That is the perfect song to play for right now. But I don't know that's Eddie Minnis, right? I don't know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say if you think you see UFO, you must check and see if the Bejarina was bad first. I don't like these, he disparaging these people who have shared their experiences with us that they have seen UFOs. I got a text here that says, great show as usual, but what's happening with all these killings and rape going on in Nassau? I tell you what, guys, between tomorrow and Thursday, I have a couple of shows lined up to talk about the Protection Against Violence bill, to talk about some of those issues. But I'd like to thank you for bringing it to my attention. I mean, I know you ain't bringing it to my attention, but you let me know. People also want to talk about that. So here is our second $100 on the clock trivia giveaway question for the morning. When was the contract first signed? The contract for Bahamian workers to enter the United States of America. Ooh. When was the contract first signed? What is the date when the contract was signed for Bahamian workers to enter the USA? The numbers to call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720 for people in the Bahamas, but not New Providence. It is toll free. All right, so quickly, the United States of America, U.S. congressional system had a hearing on UFOs this week. UAPs, they call them unidentified anomalous phenomenon or unidentified aerial phenomenon. Mark, what have you been reading?
Oh Lord, yeah, it's an interesting topic, isn't it? The UFOs, and conspiracy theorists would say that this is happening to distract us from something else that's supposed to be happening, right? But putting that aside, I have been listening over the years to a guy called Stephen Greer.
Right.
Now, he has a project called, I think it's called Disclose Project. He was a physician who then went into a deep dive, and he spent the last 20 years trying to get this whole unidentified flying object debate into the mainstream, or at least into congressional oversight, because what he's saying is that there's a lot of black ops operations in that space that have no congressional oversight, that operate without any accountability. And he's saying that some of these actually have reverse engineered these craft that have crashed here on the planet Earth. And so a lot of these UFOs he's claiming, or identified flying objects, so I think they call them different names now, he's saying is that these are, for the most part, something that's being created by these black ops. But and so he said it's very complex. It's a complex situation. He also has evidence. He has a list of 700 whistleblowers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about people like me and you. These are people within the Ministry of Defense, pilots, serious people who have indicated, that these things really do exist. And in some cases, that biological material has been collected. And so it seems so way out there, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Listen, we got a caller on the line, so it's a good time to take a breath. Good morning, caller. You are on the clock.
Good morning, Erin. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How you do?
I'm fine. I'm finally watching that real game.
Pardon?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I didn't hear you clearly.
I was asking Palmer, right?
Yeah, Palmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you watch the real games?
Which games?
Women's soccer?
Oh, no, I haven't. Sorry, I've been too busy.
I thought you may be into that.
I like soccer, but...
I've seen some of the highlights.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're decent. We talked about that on Friday, but listen.
Yeah.
The heart of unidentified object is among us. You know that, right?
Say that
again. Know that.
Hold on, say that again.
It's the heart of it. It's in the Bahamas. It is deep in the Bahamas.
So you're saying that there are lots of UFO sightings in this?
Not only the sightings, you're able to Bermuda Triangle, and you're able to
right, Bermuda Triangle. So like the Bahamas is a key central place where
it's in the setup to Bimini. You know about that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, history.
Bermuda Triangle.
History. So so that means that we in the Bahamas, we haven't seen more, or we probably never did a study on it, more aliens than ever before.
Well, Pumpkin Eater, that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this today, because like if they're going to be UFO sightings, you would think that a lot of them would be in a place where people suspect that Atlantis, right, is, the Bermuda Triangle is. Like this would be the place. And I figured we would have culture around it. And
maybe we never did a study on it, because when we did the study, because we always depend on it, because when I'm fascinated from a little boy. Mm-hmm. When we do the study, we always do it from Florida area.
Yeah.
Well, Florida is a part of it, but Bahamas, like I said,
but Pumpkin
Bahamas
Eater,
is directly involved. And the Bahamas now, I can argue bring this up. We need to take our time and do a study.
Well, listen, two things. Listen,
what's our laugh at it?
Yeah, don't worry.
It's all crazy, but
I suspect he's an alien. Don't mind that. That's a distraction. But here's my thing, Pumpkin Eater. It's like whether you believe in the phenomenon or not, right?
Yes.
Why wouldn't the Bahamas, as a part of its tourism product, right, have a whole platform that's just focused on UFOs, UFO sightings, folklore, real the documented stories of people who say they've experienced UFOs or have been abducted. Why wouldn't we embrace that and make it a part of our tourism product? If I had a skiff, look here, if I had, I'm going to need 2 skiff. If I had 2 skiff, every night I'd be running a harbor UFO sighting tour. You need 2 skiff because you can scare them a little bit and they need to be able to run from one skiff to another skiff. That's a part of the experience, right?
And not only that, but we got the social media now.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the archive could join in because you need the archive, Department of Archive could join in with other Bahamians.
And the School of Public and Oral History at the University of the Bahamas.
Yeah, do a story on this every night.
And look here, Pumpkin Eater. It's a great idea. Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's interesting. The Bermuda Triangle continues to fascinate people. But ultimately, if you look at it statistically, it's a very large trafficked area. And the amount of disappearances are no different statistically than anywhere else in the world. But there were a lot within that came to the public mind. And so the U.S. Coast Guard doesn't consider it as an unusual area per se, but certainly I remember back in the day that was all the theories that were behind it. This is kind of different what we're talking about. This is military personnel actually having seen these unidentified flying objects made logs, reports. There's about 700 of them, but none of their testimony has ever come into the congressional record. So this is what Stephen Greer is saying. He's hoping it'll be taken to the next level, that we'll be able to hear more, because at the moment it's just very general.
Yes.
But there is a acknowledgement that these things do exist.
Right. So what took place this week was a congressional hearing on UAPs, but it wasn't the first congressional hearing on UAPs. In fact, last year around the same time, there was the first, I think, congressional hearing on UAPs. And I think it's a monumental moment because most people expected for the response, like if this was a story, 3 former soldiers tried to get into the, congressional house to talk to congressmen and get rushed out by armed men because they just talk in foolishness, right?
Right.
But that the U.S. Congress said, hey, we're hosting a conversation, right? Like we would like to hear from people what their experience is.
Well, also what he's saying, Stephen Greer, that these are not extraterrestrials because the nearest galaxy is like 50,000 light years away. That would take you 50,000 years to get here, right? At the speed of light. And he said there's some kind of mathematical equation that you have this incredible mass when you hit that speed. So it's just not technically feasible. He's actually saying these are interdimensional beings that are coming to the Earth.
Okay, pause. Yeah. So watch this. So let's go right back to the
it kind of goes
if
over your
you
head,
are not
it?
from Earth, then you are an extraterrestrial.
Yeah, no, this is it, because extraterrestrials can't get here.
Hold on,
unless,
wait.
With our technology, he's saying.
So he's saying that a Martian couldn't get to Earth because of the technology.
Well, the technology that according to our quantum physics.
Right. Okay, cool. Because you said the closest galaxy. See, I could understand that by them from the next galaxy would have difficulty getting to Earth. Because of the distance.
Traveling at the speed of light. So there must be another technology that allows them to get here.
But what about Martians and Venetians, people from Venus? They're still within this solar system. It's a potential that there are extraterrestrials from within our solar system.
So he's saying that's not the case. So it's very interesting. I don't know enough about the subject, but it was very interesting. And he was explaining how they bend time to get here. Now, this is a very serious guy, right? He's a medical professional. He's not a crazy dude.
Yeah.
And so when you listen to him, it is actually quite, it kind of does go over your head because it seems to be very complex, that subject. But if we accept that there are these ETs or or whatever we want to call them, that it just blows my mind. Doesn't it blow your mind that you
No,
think that?
no. Because if God is omnipotent and God is omnipresent,
I mean, how do you explain this through a religious lens?
true.
You see, I think that's the challenge a lot of us have.
Let's take this caller.
Yeah,
Let's see what
okay.
they have to say on the subject. Good morning, caller. You're on the clock.
Well, Erin, good morning to you and your guests. Listen, let's take it from a biblical stance for all of those in the Christian nation of the Bahamas.
Graham, now, remember, hold on, Graham, before you go forward, remember, we're going to be respectful of Christians and their beliefs, right? All right.
100%.
Okay, let's go.
I am the most positive person you'll ever meet.
It's
but
not
let's
you,
move
people.
on.
No, it's not about you. It's about me. It's about me. People
Yeah,
think that I
yeah.
disrespect Christianity.
Okay.
Okay, let's go forward.
But you just alluded to it. God can be everywhere in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
So is it safe to say that whatever God is, I got to choose my words right,
Mm-hmm.
would not the angels have some of these powers? And could they not move from Pluto to Nassau in a blink of an eye, a twinkling of an eye?
Mm-hmm.
And could this not be somebody who was stranded by accident? Because angels don't have the power of God. So we do know that these beings exist because a third were thrown down to the earth from heaven when they went against God.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at it from that biblical side, but let's look at it from the atheistic side as well. Our limited capacity, right,
Mm-hmm.
is very small. Remember Star Trek? They
Yeah.
went at warp speed. Maybe we can fold time, or maybe they figured out by entering a black hole, you go billions of light years in seconds. My question is, whether you believe in either one of those stories,
Mm-hmm.
you have to observe that the being was found and work backwards from there. Now, I want to wrap up with this little piece.
Because I got another
Erin,
caller. Yeah.
My father was on the contract, and his last tour was 47.
Okay.
But he went at the beginning as well. He served 2 terms. And guess what?
Don't call the date. Don't call the date because you ain't calling
No.
to answer the trivia question. Yeah.
I realized that the Bahamas government paid on this end for him to go away. I just found that out. And the U.S. government paid on that side. But we wrap up with this. That was responsible importing of labor. He applied from country of origin, not from the United States. You see the discipline there? We need to execute the same discipline in our immigration policies.
Thank you.
But good show, guys.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you very much. Other caller, please call back. That's my bad, Graham. I supposed to cut you sooner. Because there's another caller. But that your last point gives us, producer, let's take those calls, an indication of how valuable labor is. Also, last month, the U.S. courts shot down the Biden administration's migration policy. I think it's the one that I affectionately call the lily pad plan, which would restrict people from entering the U.S. who could have applied from their last country of embarkation, right? The U.S. courts shot that down. That's similar to the U.K. Rwanda migrant plan as well. Hopefully we'll get back into that. But look at how valuable labor is. The Bahamas government paid to send them and the U.S. government paid to support them. Good morning, caller. You are on the clock.
A pleasure. Good morning, Miss Greene.
Morning, Sparky. How you do?
I had an uncle that left to go to Tavares, Florida, also back in the day, and he never really came back here to live anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He went with the thing, and they like I heard the same thing from Graham said. They paid for them to go over here, and they used to also send some of his money back to his mother.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, he didn't have no wife or nothing there, but they would send something back to the family.
Yeah.
Right, and stuff like that. But what I really called for, Ms. Greene, we have people that text into your shows, or most of the text, they don't give their name and stuff, but y'all read their text.
Yeah.
We have people that call into the talk shows, and we know them. Some of them they call like myself. And then we have some people that text in, and they don't call their name, but they ridicule people like myself. There's a particular individual, I don't know if it's male or female, if you give me a moment. They always criticize me for calling into the shows. I have been calling into the shows to call the chronic caller from talk shows started.
Yes, Sparky.
I am a Bahamian. I have the right to call in as often as I want to until Dwight decides to bomb me off a guardian. And I appreciate the talk shows that allow me that right. I am a retired person that work around my yard and I do backyard farming. And my entertainment is listening to talk shows. And when there's a topic out there and I have an appointment on an opinion, I voice my opinion. So I'd like to take this opportunity now to tell that individual, if they're not man or woman enough to be man or woman enough to call in and
Sparky,
voice their name,
then don't be calling your name on the radio. I got you, Sparky, and don't be sending messages like that. I appreciate that. I don't like that at all. I wanted to ask you a question, Sparky, so I could show these people. Is the reason why I entertain you, because you set out to entertain people. You don't set out to cause bad mind or anything like that. I wanted to ask you, in your experience with people in the times of the contract where people left and didn't come back, right? What was the sentiment? Like when somebody went missing, right? Somebody disappeared, they went, say maybe they went on the contract, they left the country and they didn't come back. Like, did people suspect that people were abducted? Like it's been 10 years, it's been 5 years, you ain't hear nothing from your people, right? You call the last place of residence, you get in communication and they say, oh, they've moved on. Was there a sentiment that the people who were disappearing could have been abducted? Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. I'm sorry I missed you. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Miss Greene.
How you do?
Good morning, Mr. Mark Palmer.
Morning.
You ready for this joke, Erin?
Yes, sir.
It's unidentified flying objects for me and you, but it's identified flying objects for them, okay?
Okay.
Now, the joke is, if Dilly and Gannep and Soursop don't go there, I don't really care because I don't need to go. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at from the biblical context in which God provided everything that man needs on earth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not limited. A friend of mine sent me some information that I had no idea existed. And so it was concerning the fact that why America spent 10 years in Iraq.
Uh-huh.
So it was said that a British explorer, he didn't give me his name, discovered a Stargate, a ziggurat, right?
Yeah.
It is known as. And so what happens is Saddam Hussein sought to fortify this ziggurat. A lot of extraterrestrial activity taking place outside of this ziggurat, but it's also known that this is the reason why America spent so much time in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we juxtapose this with, this is where Abraham came from, and we juxtapose this with the biblical text of the Epic of Gilgamesh, and also the concept of ancient man always looking to the celestials, right? I like to keep an open mind, but for me personally, seeing is believing. But this is where it's at. Maybe you would want to look into the ziggurat and expound on it, because I just received this information, but I was able to juxtapose it with biblical history of Ur of Chaldeans, Babylonian, Sumerian text. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's keep an open mind here, but I still would like to keep God in the perspective, seeing that He put everything here for me on earth.
Yeah.
This is where I will live and this is where I'll die. So we're flying around with them doing what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're trying to distract us with a bunch of BS. Bless up.
Thank you. Thank you, 52. Another caller, and let's go to that caller, and then I'm going to talk. I just want to make a point right after the caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the clock.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you do?
Yes, good. I'm enjoying your conversation. Inquisitive minds want to know.
Yes.
I have 3 points.
Yes, ma'am.
One, biblically, read Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells you about the wheel within the wheel.
Yes, ma'am.
That had entities that came out of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Secondly, I want to bring the Bahamas for Mr. Palmer into the equation.
Okay.
Wikipedia says that in 1957, the President Eisenhower met entity that came in a flying saucer, some kind of vehicle, landed nearby, was taken to the White House, and he met President Eisenhower.
Okay.
That's the second point. One more point. In 1957, they opened up Area 51, and they also opened up North Andros under a treaty with the colonial government. What are they doing down in Andros? Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Area 51 and AUTEC base? Mr. Nuri,
Hi.
I know you want to say something.
No, I'm smiling.
Yeah.
I'd like to put some historical reference to it also.
Okay, pause.
Go ahead.
All right, let's take this caller.
And then
When
go
we
there.
come back, you give the historical reference, and then I got a point I have to make before we end the show. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Erin.
Good morning. How you do?
Fine, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Neary and Mr. Palmer.
Good morning.
Erin, I'm kind of intrigued.
Yes.
You know, because what you're talking about, I kind of find it amusing because I don't believe it's unidentified. Kind of like what 52 says. I believe if somebody knows what that is up there flying around.
Okay.
You understand me?
Yeah.
But another, not to go off topic, but did you hear anything about the fire in the Haitian village last night?
Yeah, there was a fire in a shanty in an unregulated community. I think that's different from unlawful, right? In an unregulated community off Joe Farrington Road. Yeah, I saw snippets of the news report last night, and for those who want to follow, pick up today's Guardian and pick up today's Tribune. Pick up today's Guardian, bottom of the fold. There's definitely coverage of what happened last night. Thank you so much for reminding us about that. And if you are in the process of what we call summer cleaning in preparation for the new school year, if you are assessing your children's clothing and getting rid of older stuff, and you have some things that can be reused, gently used things, please start putting things together because we know that there are people in need. Thank you so much for calling. All right, Mr. Nuri.
No, I just wanted to say that in the Columbus Records, when he
Yeah.
was detailing his voyage to the Bahamas, he mentioned that he saw a ball of light came by the ship, passed him, and dived in the middle of the ocean and disappeared.
Yeah.
Just want to reference that in the Bahamas and in Columbus's record, there had been reference of unidentified
Flying objects all the way back there.
Yeah, from back there.
Now, I got a lot of texts here. That
And then I want to throw in
Yeah.
also, do you think God is an alien?
Well, see, technically, God must be an extraterrestrial because God is not an earthling. But the real confusion comes from the song Good Lord, remade by Nita. She's not the original, but, if the good Lord never went on holiday, then why did he make the Bahamas? I'm going to assume that good Lord does not live on the earth, but comes and visits, and he made the Bahamas because,
Then I would throw this inside the equation. Can these extraterrestrial sightings be demons? Demons come to confuse man from worshiping God.
Well, a number of people have said, Graham have suggested, right, that the alien construct fits within the biblical construct, right? It's just a matter of language, and do we understand the meaning of the words, right, and what they could mean. But I want to throw this out there. Let me read this text. Can't believe so many people fell for this alien thing. I watched the entire congressional hearing, and it was like an Onion News broadcast. No first-hand information, no names could be revealed because of top secret or highly classified information. No names of who funded the research because of classified information. It's like once a white man says it's true, LOL. Now, text, thank you for the text. I got another text that say, oh my God, the show today, LOL. Listen, I am sort of in the same camp as y'all, I was like, these people have to be distracting me, like 52 said, I'm aware that there are things that are greater than me, but I am on the earth, right? And so I focus on these things that I am connected to. I want to say this. If aliens aren't real, then why did the good USA of America create an entire United States Space Force? Right? That's all I'm saying. If aliens are not real, if the good Lord did not make aliens, then why did the United States of America create Space Force? Right? The U.S. Space Force, their text, the caller coming to you right now. Good morning, caller. You're on the clock.
Hi, good morning, Erin.
Good morning. How you doing? Good.
I couldn't believe that I heard y'all talking about this. But it's not aliens. It's life force. There are other life forces. But I want to give you something to think about. If a star is a portal into another universe, and the universe has 1 trillion stars, so that means there's 1 trillion squared possible forces or planets that there could be life on. How egotistical are we to think that we are the only form of life in 1 trillion times 1 trillion possible places to inhabit? And I'm not even talking about the planet.
Yeah.
So we might, and we're not even the smartest life force on this planet.
Yep.
So we have to broaden our minds and really think that this isn't a Earth subject; it's a life subject, and it could be anywhere. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I mean, the caller is absolutely right. Well, we don't have concrete evidence, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of sightings, but given the size of the universe and the possibility of other habitable spaces, it is entirely plausible.
Yeah.
That we have others amongst us, right?
All right. So let me read the text question, the winner, the correct answer. The question was, when was the contract signed? The thing we know as the contract where Bahamian workers went to the U.S. To provide labor. When was that signed? I've got a winner, and the date was March 16th, 1943. March 16th, 1943. I'm going to contact all of today's winners after the show so that we can transfer the funds. Producer, we got a new call. Good morning, caller.
Morning. How you doing, Erin?
Good, thanks. How you do?
How you doing? Please, yes.
G'day.
Okay, let me identify myself. Mr. Marvin Johnson, class of 81, St. John's College, United States Air Force, 81, September 81. Basic military training squadron, 3706.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that to tell the people out there that I've been somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you don't have to look far. The first words of the buzzword in their mouth wasn't one giant step for mankind or whatever they said.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they said, reported back to NASA, was that they saw something on at the edge of the crater on the moon, and that it's looking at, it saw them, that they saw it, but they erased that. And then you ask the question, why hasn't man gone back to the moon in 50 years and the moon is right there? They all are trying to get all about the Mars and all the different places, but they refuse to go back to the moon. All you got to do is look at the moon a little closer, and it'll tell you why. It'll tell you exactly why man is afraid to go back to the moon. Because the beings that they found there, they kind of invisible type beings, and man don't know how to deal with it yet. They're trying to learn how to conquer it, but they don't know how to do it yet. And the base that really has it's not actually Area 51. It's Dulce Base. Dulce Base is vast stories underground next to Area 51. That is really do a lot of the reverse engineering and trying to design a new human being that could take the rigors of space. But they haven't achieved that as yet. And that's my contribution today.
Thank you, sir. Protocol having been established. Thank you very much for your call. Mr. Nuri.
I just wanted to say that the United States has been on the moon 6 times, landed on the moon 6 different occasions, and just recently China has sent some kind of probe and had that on the moon itself.
First of all, China's very brave.
Yeah.
Second
I mean,
of all,
they didn't send China didn't send no human beings to be there, but they sent a Land Rover type satellite that went on the moon and landed.
Also, I'd like to suggest to them that they don't need an underground training program to prepare people for the rigors of outer space. Take them to Mayaguana. Force them to live in Mayaguana for a year, and they will be able to withstand any external and internal forces. Okay,
we'll let NASA know Okay, we'll let them know.
Why you think they call it NASA? Why you think they call it NASA, Mr. Palmer?
I have no idea why.
The answer is in the question. Yeah, that's why these people thought New Providence was the cap, because NASA can't be the capital of the Bahamas. You know what I'm saying? But because y'all are doubting me, you don't have to trust me. Trust the United States Space Force. The U.S. Space Force is responsible for organizing, training, and equipping Guardians to conduct global space operations that enhance the way our joint and coalition forces fight, while also offering decision makers military options to achieve national objectives. The U.S. Space Force was established on December 20th, 2019, when the National Defense Authorization Act was signed into law, creating the first new branch of the armed services since 1947. The establishment of the USSF resulted from widespread recognition that space is a national security imperative. When combined with the growing threat posed by strategic competitors in space, it became clear that there was a need for military service focused solely on pursuing superiority in the space domain. That's all I needed to hear to know. Minister of National Security, I know you're very busy. I know you're working very hard. And I know I stay calling for you to resign. But in the interim, please initiate a think tank. Because if the U.S. have a space force, then we need to be training officers as well. We need our own space force. We can't rely on the United States of America. Because what if they tell it, no, listen, don't come to New York right now. Go check out the Bahamas. They're having a festival. Go check. I don't know. I don't like it at all. But I want to thank you guys for keeping an open mind and joining us in this conversation this morning. Because as jokey as it may seem, if the United States of America has a space force, then we need to begin building our capacity as well. And on a second note, how could we be the home of the Bermuda Triangle and we don't have a tourism platform, we don't have a tourism product that takes advantage of this cultural and this historic aspect of the Bahamas? We got to believe in ourselves more. If you don't want to believe in aliens, at least believe in yourself. Have a great day, Bahamas. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Muri is up next.
Smoke Bridge Arena. He smokes RC. Smoke Shabani, Dollar expect Gamala Michi. Why he smokes such a mixture? Ain't nobody know. It's so strong, but shooting through the sky like a UFO.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.